Syracuse Basketball has hired a general manager, and the Orange have added at least one game to its non-conference slate next season. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on today's show, we are going over Syracuse Basketball hiring a general manager, Alex Kline, to its staff, a brand new position at Syracuse, and the Orange have also added at least one game to its non-conference slate and are rumored to be adding another, so tons to go over here on today's podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So Syracuse Basketball hires a general manager. Let's go over that. What exactly is a general manager in college athletics? What is it? I think that's the first thing you guys are asking, because we all know what it really is in pro sports, at least for the most part, right? Like, that's the person who gets to make all the trades, all the free agent signings, and all the drafting, all that stuff that, aside from actually playing a sport, is every little kid's dream, is to make all the decisions that affect a team, right? That's what it is in pro sports. In college sports, this is a brand new position being added. Alex Kline is the one who now has it for Syracuse, recently hired. From the university website, this is, quote, a new position. The general manager will support Coach Autry in managing various aspects of the men's basketball program at Syracuse. The primary responsibilities will include scouting and recruiting, former student-athlete engagement, name, image, and likeness opportunities, transfer portal management, and institutional fundraising in collaboration with university advancement. I know that is a mouthful for you guys, so the way I would kind of dummy it down is this is someone who is going to be in charge of finding the next great Syracuse basketball players, both in the transfer portal and recruiting out of high school as well, while also trying to find NIL opportunities and fundraising opportunities. That's what it is from that whole mouthful that I just gave you guys. As stated, this is the first time that Syracuse has hired a general manager. This is a brand new position, and it's really pretty brand new across all of college athletics. I looked at some schools that have recently hired general managers. St. John's is one that popped up. They hired one last year, and Utah hired one just a couple months ago. So those are just a few schools that have hired general managers. There's more across the country. I saw a rumor that Kentucky might be adding one as well. This is a necessary position now with the state of college athletics. Back in the day, college coaches were the ones who were responsible for getting players to come to their program, but there was no transfer portal and there was no NIL opportunities. So it was purely, wink, wink. I can't really wink well, but you get the idea. Purely about the basketball, the football, or whatever sport of your choosing when it came to recruiting. That's what it was. Nowadays, with the transfer portal and NIL, this is a lot for coaches to be able to handle. Coaches have already come out and said how much they dislike everything, because it is a lot that is out there, though, that coaches, for the most part, are not very happy with the current system going on. And so these schools are starting to hire general managers to help oversee everything. And what this allows Coach Autry to do, along with any other coach in the country, is it allows them to focus primarily on coaching, right? So Coach Autry's expertise is coaching, right? Coaching basketball. He can focus on that and also recruit on face value. So he doesn't have to do he doesn't have to be the one that's filtering everything. He can have Alex Kline, the general manager of the team, go out, find players that could be useful to Syracuse, and then tell Coach Autry about it. And then Coach Autry goes to see the player. Instead of Coach Autry having to do the filtering himself, Alex Kline can be in charge of doing some of that filtering. So it makes a lot of sense for Syracuse to hire a general manager. This is a new development in college athletics, but as I said, it is certainly a necessary one, as the wild, wild west, it's not going away. If anything, it's going to be even more deregularized. I did not say that right, but you get the idea. I know people want regulation put in place. I don't see that really happening. It wasn't really that long ago when the transfer portal, it used to be where if you decided to transfer, you had to sit out a year. And nowadays, you can't even envision a world where it's like that anymore. That's just not the case, right? You could transfer nilly-dilly as you want. That's just how college athletics is. NIL has exploded in recent years since it became legal. Now colleges are allowed to actually pay players directly, which was never a thing. And the whole point of amateur athletics was that they don't get paid by the university. Now, all of a sudden, because of the recent court ruling, that is the case where they are allowed to be paid by the university directly. So overall, a general manager is a necessary step in college athletics. I would recommend every school hire one, because to ask these coaches to do all this is a lot. So having a general manager is certainly helpful, and Syracuse is getting in on the trend with Alex Kline. And let's go over who Alex Kline is, because this is the person that is now the general manager of Syracuse Basketball, a brand new position that has been added. What are his qualifications? And why do I believe this guy is the right hire for Syracuse basketball? Well, first of all, he is a Syracuse alum. He graduated in 2016 as a broadcast and digital journalism major and a minor in sport management. So that just goes to show you that that is the greatest major and greatest minor in the world. Well, of course, that was my major and minor when I was at Syracuse, but it's the greatest, okay? He came from Syracuse. It has to be a good hire right off the bat, right? But aside from that, here are his qualifications and why this guy, I think he's the right hire. It makes a lot of sense given the job description and what he's actually done since leaving school and even before he got to college. Kline had been a scout with the New York Knicks in the past 4 years. I think the Knicks have been pretty successful in the last 4 years. Given what the Knicks had been for most of my childhood, they have been basically the best team ever because they were so bad for most of my childhood. I don't really remember a world where the Knicks were really good. That's mostly reserved for my mother and father. But the Knicks have been good the past 4 years. Don't know how much Alex Kline really had to do with that, but he was with the organization as a scout, and scouting is part of what he's going to have to do at Syracuse, so it makes sense. And before that, he was with the New Orleans Pelicans as a basketball operations assistant for 4 years. So Alex Kline has been in the NBA for the past 8 years, and now he's going back to Syracuse to be its general manager. Makes a lot of sense. Right off the bat, this is someone who has been in the NBA. He could take that expertise and maybe bring it over to college, even though they're not exactly the same. But scouting and dealing with some finances and recruiting, it's pretty similar. It's kind of close to what he's going to probably have to do at Syracuse. In 2010, so this is when Alex Kline was still in high school, he founded what is known as the Recruiting Scoop, and now that site is affiliated with Yahoo Sports and Rivals. So he built a site that Rivals, which is a recruiting service, took interest in, and Yahoo Sports. And I think we all know what Yahoo Sports is. Pretty impressive stuff from Alex Kline. Also, little neat fact about him, Alex Kline was named to Forbes's 30 under 30 list in 2013 and in 2014. Now, some notable people who have been on Forbes's 30 under 30 list include, but are not limited to, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and LeBron James. So if you are in a club with LeBron James and Mark Zuckerberg, you're doing something right. Alex Kline was named to Forbes's 30 under 30 list twice in 2013 and 2014. Pretty impressive. That's all I'll say. Very, very impressive stuff. And as I said, he graduated from Syracuse in 2016. It honestly seems like after I read a little bit about Alex Kline and I gathered my thoughts about him, I don't know how much of an impact he's honestly going to have at Syracuse. I really don't. It is a brand new position. It's brand new. This has never been done at Syracuse before. So there is no precedent out there that suggests that it's going to be a good thing for the program or a bad thing for the program. It's not out there. I don't know. Nobody actually knows how this is really going to shape out until maybe a few years from now. But if we're looking at the trend in college sports, as I have already said repeatedly on this podcast, and if you look at Alex Kline's qualifications and you look at what they're looking for in a general manager at the school, all the dots seem to connect. That Alex Kline seems to be the right hire for Syracuse basketball to be their general manager. 8 years of NBA experience, a graduate from Syracuse. That helps as well, right? He's been with the school before. He knows it inside and out. He was on Forbes's 30 under 30 list. I already told you some of the famous names that have been on there. And he founded a recruiting website that is now affiliated with Rivals and Yahoo Sports. So Alex Kline, what will I say? It's a home run hire, I guess. But I don't know. It's one of those things I just don't know, but it connects. The dots connect. They're looking for a general manager, and they hired someone, and I looked at it, and I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for what they're probably going to ask him to do. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that Alex Kline can help this program out. Hey, helping the program is helping the program. But overall, Alex Kline seems like someone who can help the program tremendously. He can take a load off of Adrian Autry and the rest of the coaching staff. He clearly has experience building websites and all that fun stuff, considering the fact that he founded one himself. So I'm pretty pleased. I am pretty pleased with the hire. I think it is the right move for Syracuse, and we'll see if it actually works out in the end. There's a chance that it doesn't work out. That goes with any hire that you ever make in the history of time. There is always that possibility that it will not work out, but I'm pretty hopeful that this one will work out and maybe not turn around Syracuse, right? I don't know if this is going to be the reason why Syracuse either turns it around or stays not great, but it's a step in the right direction. And while it might not be a causation, there might be a correlation between having a general manager and winning basketball games. So I think that kind of covers the discussion about the general manager with Syracuse University. Leave your thoughts below. What do you think of Alex Kline? And do you think that Syracuse basketball took a necessary step in hiring a general manager? So leave a comment below what your thoughts are on Syracuse's GM position.